Hi, hello everyone. I'm Justin. This is Koopa. Welcome to Koopa's Corner. Today I want to talk about WrestleMania 41. WrestleMania 41 is going to take place in Las Vegas, Nevada, April 19th and April 20th, 2025. At the time of this recording, it's October of 2024. We are 6 months away from WrestleMania. And I just thought it would be a great time to make some way too early predictions for what the match card could be and what the match card probably should be. I've talked about it a little bit on my channel before, and I wanted to sort of expand and do a whole video on the whole WrestleMania card. So I'm going to start off with what I think is probably the most obvious match that they should book, and that's going to be The Rock versus Roman Reigns. It's the match that we should have gotten last year at WrestleMania 40 until the Cody Crybabies took that away from us. Now, this match is not set in stone. It seems like the most obvious, but they could go a number of ways with this, and some of the rumors indicate that they might. So one of the ways they could go is do The Rock versus Cody, save that until WrestleMania, or they could do a triple threat match, The Rock versus Roman versus Cody. I think we'll know more after Survivor Series. When we have Civil War games between the bloodlines, you're going to have Solo, Tamatanga, Tangaloa, and Jacob Fatu on one side. You're going to have Roman Reigns, Jimmy Uso, Jey Uso on the other. As for their fourth, do they get Sami Zayn back, the honorary Uso, or do they tag with Cody again? Because Roman just tagged with Cody at Bad Blood. I think we'll know a little bit more which direction they're headed after Survivor Series, but personally I think we should get this one-on-one match. These are two of the top performers of all time, basically the Mount Rushmore of wrestling. And Cody, nothing against Cody, but he taints it. This is, it's the same thing that happened a couple years back when instead of getting Ronda Rousey versus Becky Lynch, we got Ronda Rousey versus Becky Lynch versus Charlotte. It was a fine match, but it wasn't the big match that everyone wanted. And that's the case here. Rock versus Roman is the easy money match. Cody needs to stay away from the Bloodline storyline. He needs to move away from the Bloodline storyline. He doesn't need to be a secondary character in Roman Reigns' story. He can tell his own stories. He's talented as a performer, and it would be nice to give him some meat and potatoes to sink his teeth into. And I think Cody has an excellent opponent lined up, and that's Randy Orton. So Cody versus Randy is the second match that I would book. That could be for the title. I wouldn't put the title on The Rock or Roman before then. I would have them have their match. Just, it can be like a tribal lumberjack match or something like that to get the rest of the bloodline involved. It could just be for the title of tribal chief. It could just be for a number of things. Keep the title on Cody until WrestleMania. Cody versus Orton for the title. All the history that they have with Legacy, it could be for a very intriguing story. So the second match I'm booking, Cody Rhodes versus Randy Orton, keeping Cody the fuck away from the bloodline. I think after that, I'm going to talk about John Cena. I've already talked about this a little bit in one of my videos. John Cena through his retirement tour. There's a number of opponents that he should face next year, but there's only one that's big enough for WrestleMania. That's Stone Cold Steve Austin. We don't know if Stone Cold will wrestle again, but he came out of retirement a couple years ago for Kevin Owens, so why not do it for John Cena? Again, two of the Mount Rushmore wrestlers, having Rock versus Roman main event one night, having Cena versus Stone Cold main event the other. You're talking the biggest WrestleMania of all time. This one is also probably not very likely, to be honest, but a guy can dream, right? And it would be bigger than probably anything that they would book with John Cena, because where would they go? Braun Breaker or Gunther? The Intercontinental title, trying for title 17 would be huge, but if Cena beats Gunther, there's a lot of complications, a lot of things to factor in. I think Stone Cold Steve Austin is the match. Speaking of Braun Breaker and Gunther, I think that they should face each other for the world title. Recently, Braun Breaker won the Intercontinental Championship back from Jey Uso, which I think was a good move. As much as I like Jey Uso, he's better served being involved with that bloodline storyline at the moment. But I don't think Braun Breaker should keep the title until WrestleMania. I think he should lose it and move up, challenging Gunther. I mean, this would be a huge match, with the future of the WWE. Two big stars. I mean, Gunther's are kind of already there, but Braun Breaker is another future player who's going to be around for a while. So these two, I think, could have a really hard-hitting match. So I would book Gunther versus Braun Breaker for the World Heavyweight Championship. As for the Intercontinental Championship, I'm sorry, I can't say that word today. I'm going to have Braun Breaker lose it to Drew McIntyre along the way. And you get Drew McIntyre versus Sheamus. I think it's time you give Sheamus that Intercontinental Championship that he's been wanting, that he's been very public about. It'd be a huge moment, a WrestleMania moment. They love their moments. And the two of them together have insane chemistry, and they would put on a banger of a match. So go ahead and book that for the Intercontinental Championship. I think moving down from there, Drew McIntyre was recently feuding with CM Punk. CM Punk needs a match for WrestleMania, and I think it's pretty obvious where we're going with this. That's going to be Seth freaking Rollins, man. The two of them have teased, locking up before then. Seth right now is a little preoccupied with, Bronson Reed, but I think he's just biding his time. You don't want to start this feud too early because it'll burn out before WrestleMania. So Seth Rollins, CM Punk, could have happened last year, almost happened last year. CM Punk was injured. Let's book it this year. From there, let's talk about the Women's World title. And this is something else I've talked about on the channel a couple of times. But Rhea Ripley versus Liv Morgan. And I know right now, the thought of that match is a little unappealing. They've been very heavily involved with each other since basically WrestleMania, right when Liv returned. That's a long time. A year is a long time to extend a feud. I think that from here, from where we're at now in October, Rhea and Liv do not really face each other again. Keep them away from each other and build to it. Have Rhea go through Raquel Rodriguez, eventually having the intergender match, Rhea Ripley versus Dirty Dom. And then she wins the Royal Rumble, and she finally gets her hands on Liv Morgan again at WrestleMania. And she can win her championship back at WrestleMania. I think that would be a huge moment. So as long as they stay away from each other in the meantime, I don't see why they shouldn't face each other then. As for the other women's championship on SmackDown, I don't see Nia Jax carrying the title all the way to WrestleMania. There's a bit of a story going on with Tiffany Stratton. I think Tiffany Stratton cashes in her Money in the Bank, wins the title sometime before WrestleMania, and potentially faces a returning Charlotte Flair at WrestleMania. Charlotte is a huge star. The WWE has treated her like a huge deal over the years, and this could be a moment for Tiffany Stratton. If Charlotte puts her over, it could really elevate her, really establish her, really cement her as a player in the division for years to come. So I think that would be a hell of a match. I think another really obvious match in the women's division, Jade Cargill versus Bianca Belair. Again, something I've talked about on the channel, so I'm not going to go too much into it, but they're spinning their wheels, waiting for WrestleMania, waiting for this moment. This is one of the more, I feel like, pretty locked matches that we're going to get at WrestleMania. From there, let's talk about some of the other championships. We talked about the Intercontinental Championship a little bit. Let's talk about the United States Championship. And this one's kind of a tough one, right? There's no really obvious feud. LA Knight's been doing a solid job as champion. But, it's just not It's not firing on all cylinders. It's not one of those title reigns that's, burning the world down, and that's okay. He's doing a great job. And I think this is one of those matches where you start to squeeze some extra people in, try to fill out the card a little bit, get some more performers, that WrestleMania paycheck. So I'm booking the United States Championship in a fatal four-way. We're going to go LA Knight versus Logan Paul versus Kevin Owens versus Joe Hendry. Yeah, it's a long shot probably, but why not? His TNA contract's got to expire at some point. I don't know when. The WWE would be stupid not to be interested in signing him. It's very likely that he's a surprise entrant in the Royal Rumble. He's already been doing some work in NXT. So throwing him into a match like this with performers at that caliber would be a really great way for him to spend his first WrestleMania. So let's go ahead, throw Joe Hendry in there, make it a fatal four-way match. Let's see. I think another really good match, and there's been no indication whatsoever that this is the direction. But it could be Uncle Howdy versus Demon Finn Balor. Right now, the Judgment Day is one of the hottest things going on. You have to have Finn Balor on the card somewhere. I'd rather see him in a prominent singles match like this against someone like Uncle Howdy, where you can have all sorts of, smoke and mirrors, make it a really kind of cinematic match. Then, just shunt it into a, multi-man tag match. But Damian Priest is going to have moved on. There's going to be something for him to do. I think Uncle Howdy is a great feud to carry him into WrestleMania. I think that, speaking of multi-man tag team matches, the rest of the Wyatt Six should have like a no disqualification match against the War Raiders for the tag team titles on Raw. I think this features some fresh faces in the tag division, gives us a nice hard-hitting match. You get a gimmicky match in there to kind of freshen things up, change things up. And the tag team titles over on SmackDown, I would book in a ladder match. Again, just to kind of change things up, get a lot of people involved. These lower matches on the card, these are where you get people that WrestleMania payday. DIY and the Street Profits have been absolutely killing it. There's the recently debuted Motor City Machine Guns, and a team like Pretty Deadly could really round out the ranks and give us just a fun, high-paced, high-flying ladder match. And I think the only other championships we haven't talked about yet are the Women's Tag Team Championships. As I said, I expect the titles to not be on Bianca Belair or Jade Cargill. They're going to be feuding with each other. So let's just get some of those other women in there. You've got the Pure Fusion Collection. You've got Damage Control, the Unholy Union. These all are teams that have been feuding for the tag team championships in the women's division recently against Bianca Belair, against Jade Cargill. Put them in there together, Chelsea Green and Piper Niven, because Chelsea Green is an absolute gem in everything that she does. Huge Chelsea Green fan. Very disappointed Samantha Irvine won't be there to introduce Chelsea Green. And then maybe Candice LeRae and Indy Hartwell. I think they've been incredibly underutilized. So again, just kind of filling this out, a big multi-man match. You could make this perhaps, an elimination match or something along those lines. Give it some sort of a stipulation just to make it so it's not a little awkward, a little clunky. Just kind of throw something in there so that they can have, a chance at the spotlight, because these women deserve a bigger spotlight. So I want to throw, a handful of teams in there. Now I could keep going, but we went over 14 different matches. I think that's going to be pretty solid, right? Right now they've been typically doing about 5 matches per event. On a big event like WrestleMania, I'm expecting them to maybe do 7, and that's per night, so it'd be 14 total. So I don't want to really go on and keep going. I know there are a lot of names that didn't make this list, names that probably could and should be on the card. A guy like Damian Priest. I don't have Damian Priest in here at all. But what do you do with a guy like Damian Priest? There's no obvious feud for him. Unless you keep booking matches, you want to book 15, 16, 17 matches. Absolutely. It's the WWE. They can do whatever they want. I'm just kind of sticking to that format. I think that kind of makes sense. Becky Lynch is not currently signed with the company, but if she was going to returning by WrestleMania seems likely. There's been some stuff going on with the New Day. Bronson Reed's not on here. Shinsuke Nakamura's not on here. So there's a lot of big names that could have really good matches if we wanted to include them somewhere. But I just kind of, when I'm thinking it out, this is kind of where I fall. So I don't know exactly what's going to happen. But 6 months out, those 14 matches, those are my predictions for WrestleMania 41. Let me know what you think. Which matches would you change? Who would you sub out? Would you include some of those bigger names that I missed out on? Let me know. And thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one.